Ms. Rhodes, we put you off just as long as we possibly could. We got
I'm used to that, Mr. Alton.
you got 16 things on here, so.
She wasn't upset about it.
Yeah.
And one is not here.
And one's not this.
Well, the first one's not, actually, it's not mine. The canvassing board appointments, that's something you all do whether I'm here or not.
Okay.
But it's listed as mine. You all just need to decide who's going to be your canvassing board appointee and your alternate for the upcoming 2018 election cycle. It is typically the chairman unless you are going to be on the ballot or have opposition, and if you were, then you would make a recommendation.
I'll say it was a very good experience for me last year to be
It's
sitting on that. It was
very
very
good.
educational, and I recommend everybody having their turn to do that.
Well, I think sometimes you may dread it, but once you do it, you really recognize the importance of it, and I appreciate when a commissioner comes on board with us and takes that position very serious.
There's a lot of
because it is.
meetings, but it's great.
I was involved with the canvassing board one time, but it was just on the other side of the election.
Absolutely.
I didn't like the turnout that one that time. Oh my gosh.
It's the way it works sometimes.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that you be board representative on the canvas.
I'll second that.
I think Jackie has the information to make sure the canvassing board meeting, the workshop is in January. It's a one-day class that we take. Everybody who serves on the canvassing board needs to attend.
I have a motion, I have a second. Do I have any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign? And now we need an alternate, correct?
Right.
All right. Mr. Forney, would you care to be the alternate?
I'll make a motion that we appoint Mr. Miller as the alternate in case something happens. I'll second.
All right, motion, I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Okay, and since we let the others go ahead, I think Mr. Hawkins said that this would be simple, painless for me today.
Absolutely, Ms. Rudd. It'd be just as painless as you make it.
Okay. The first thing I want to talk to you about is the potential for polling place closures. You know, we've talked about that in the past. And after reviewing the precincts that Mr. Hawkins and I looked at, they are not all in your district. The district line divider goes down Highway 77, so it depends on which side of the highway it's on, but we will discuss that. Washington County currently has 16 voting locations, also known as polling places. The proposal today from me would be to reduce that number by at least 3, preferably 4. We have taken many things into consideration when compiling this information for you. And as you know, this has been discussion in the past, but it's become even more important now that we have the $16,600 that was taken from the 18-19 budget. It's really made us very strapped. During the 2016 general election, these numbers are very important. 44.7% of the total voters who voted actually went to a polling location. The remaining of those, the other 60%, 56% went to, they voted by early voting or by mail. They're actually less and less turning out at the polls on election day. Voting early and voting by mail are increasingly popular. Mr. Abbott, you saw that with the number of absentee ballots. We now call them vote by mail that we have to count the day before election. For this reason, it does make economical sense to move forward with reducing some precincts. We would be able to absorb those who are affected by the close into other nearby locations. When I first went into office, we had 15 precincts. We now have 16 precincts. We went up to 19 and we're back down to 16. We do not see any voter will have a change having to drive more than a few extra miles. So they maybe have been on the far end of their precinct, so they may have a little bit further, but it may be closer for others. So it's a give and take there. Many of the surrounding counties have already completed this reduction for the same reason that we're doing this today. Some has gone as far as cutting their locations in half. Holmes County did that. And this is comparisons to counties that are like size. You see Baker has almost the exact number of voters that we have. They have 9 precincts, we have 16. And the early voting sites, I just wanted to go ahead and squelch that for discussion because it wouldn't be cost effective for us to open a precinct when we're closing, an early voting site when we're closing precincts to try to replace our equipment. And as you see, I'm not sure what's going on in Madison County with 11,000 voters and they have 4 early voting sites, but I'm not knocking him if he's got a board who just lets him freely have money.
But let me ask Carol.
Okay.
When you're talking about a number of voters, and that's very, very important, but when you're talking about the amount of precincts to vote in, wouldn't your acreage, your square footage, your square miles be a determining factor?
Right.
And I wonder how them would compare.
Well, when you're looking at, if you start looking at just acreage, you got to start thinking about your population as well, your tax base, what money you have to work with.
Sure.
That doesn't change when you change on acreage.
No.
So it's still, the feasibility is not there just because we have more property size. But that is the reason we're going to go over and show you which precincts that I would recommend that we would close. We've left those who would be greatly affected. It's not, let's go onto that screen. The ones that are highlighted would be the ones I would propose to close. Over on the left is your precinct number or name of the facility. Then the next column is your total registered voters. The next are those who voted in 2016 at Election Day. That's the Election Day turnout overall. Election Day staffing cost, and then the cost per vote on Election Day. And you see Courts of Praise, $3.89 per ballot cast Election Day. Shepherd's Gate, $4.13. Recycling Center, it cost us over $7 per vote cast. Country Oaks Church, $3.91. There are some others, Ebro, for instance, here, that is higher, but it's so far, the location, we wouldn't consider that. Those are things that we did take into account, Mr. Abbott, to try to still accommodate those people that are in the outlying areas.
Yes.
Now, I just want to make sure you realize that
Oh,
it's
I
not
do,
all
yeah.
just by dollar. We did take the,
Yeah.
and Caryville's the same way.
Yeah.
Caryville is $3.67. That's still on the higher end.
Yeah, there's not another close precinct
Right,
to them. in
right.
it.
And the same way with precincts 2 and 3, they're close in proximity, but they really turn out well in those two precincts, and we don't believe that either of those precincts would hold all of the voters in the parking situation that are provided at both places. Those facilities aren't large enough, or parking is not adequate to be able to combine those two. We did consider that.
Is there any places on there that we rent?
We don't rent anything.
Okay, that's what I just wanted to know that.
Yeah, we no longer rent anything. Yeah. Courts of Praise Church has just given us, out of courtesy, Shepherd's Gate, the same thing. Recycling Centers, county facility, and Country Oaks, the Baptist Association had allowed us to use that facility. But Country Oaks is, the church itself is closed. So it's sometimes an issue for us to get in there, making sure that nobody else is using it. It came up that they may do something else with it, and because it's closed, my concern is that they may sell it at some point. It's just sitting there. So we don't want to be caught in a bad situation. There's nowhere else to move that precinct if they close it last minute.
Where were them people at Country Oaks?
Very likely to Orange Hill. That's where most of them were before. That's a precinct that I did create for Mr. Pelletier, who asked me to do that. Connie actually works at that precinct on Election Day, and the turnout is not great. It's okay, but there's not a lot of people that are being serviced on Election Day 172. Orange Hill would be able to take most of those people in. Most of those people who come up Orange Hill Highway into town. They don't go out through Sunny Hills. We could absorb some of them into Sunny Hills, but we looked at that, and we haven't decided for sure, but we have looked at that, trying to make it not
Now,
a hardship.
The recycling center, them people,
We moved those to Wausau.
That's easy.
well, I mean, see
Yeah.
that Country Oak, church there, Country, or Shepherd's Gate, no, it's the Courts of Praise Church.
They're on Clayton Road?
Yeah. Them two were close together. So you're saying that the people, the recycling center will go to Wausau?
Yes.
Go to the Courts of Praise. And
We will have to determine, we may split that one, send part of them to 4 and part of those to Vernon, depending on where we'll be, draw a line just down the center and try to make those be. The only problem with putting them all in 4, which is the Ag Center, the Ag Center, you see we already have 3,000 plus voters at that precinct, and that's becoming a hardship on the size of facility and parking at the Ag Center.
yeah.
Where's the line out of Courts of Praise in Orange Hill? Some of the Orange Hill do, or no?
We could send some of them there. We will take it into, that precinct is the most concerning about how we're going to split those
Yeah.
up. But regardless, you see, Election Day, there's only 216 who are voting, and when I say only, we appreciate every single voter who turns out, but it's not a huge number of people, but we do want to make, not make a hardship on anyone.
Well, you're only, 4 miles from here?
Yes.
Mr. Ken, did you have a question?
Let me go to the next screen so that you can see. Precinct 10 is in Districts 1 and 5. It's actually split. Precinct 17 is currently District 3. 18 is District 1. Precinct 19 is in District 5. There was some concern before they were all in one district.
Mr. Jordan?
You did get one of my,
That was more of him picking on.
That's
I know,
right.
I know,
Yeah,
I
I
know.
appreciate it too, Ms. Rudd.
Ms. Rudd, can I ask a question?
Absolutely,
What about Greenhead? I know we were down there looking at that,
yes,
because it could be taken out by 77.
right.
So what's your thoughts on that?
As we discussed, that when that facility is, we get our check, we're supposed to get an offer maybe in 90 days, that between that and the fire department that's going to be taken out, that maybe we can combine funds, have a voting precinct / volunteer fire department, combine those funds to replace that voting precinct. Because that is a precinct 12, there's 1,500, 639 of those vote election day. That's a really big precinct.
Yes, the little small buildings. And I'm not
It's right in front of the Blocker Church, Mr. Abbott.
Close. I'd like to ask this, that Mr. Joyner being that city, in his district, in that area over there, him be more deeply involved in the, I don't know how involved you are now. If you're not, I'd definitely like you to be correspondence with that.
And Mr. Bass and I are working on that.
Yeah, and we talked about, there's some property available,
Including the voting precinct.
Yeah.
there's some property available at Daniels Lake that the county owns already, that we might be able to tap into that resource.
Okay.
Because we're gonna have to be concerned, as I was telling Mr. Massey yesterday, about getting with DOT about a turning lane. 77, you really need to know wherever you are, and I don't know where they are in the plans.
It'd be nice to have a nice fire station and
Yes.
and a voting precinct
It would
together.
be.
To upkeep.
Well, there was the doctor, and I don't know if this is appropriate to be talking about it now, but there's a doctor that on the corner of
Greenhead Road, 77.
in 77, there's a doctor and his brother that lives in Panama City. Charles, I mean, you know these people. But actually, he was talking about donating some property to the county to be able to do that.
Gotcha.
We've got several options.
Okay.
Look at it.
Carol, there at the top, you talks about the precincts
Uh-huh.
and districts. Is that the physical location of the precinct?
It's, yeah, the voters that come and vote at precinct 10, some of them are in District 1 and some are in District 5.
Okay.
Precinct 17, those voters who vote there are from District 3.
So your suggestion is to close them four down.
Those
What
four.
would be your recommendation? What would the saving be?
Well, at the end of the day, we're going to go on to discuss that. I'm hoping it's going to help take care of one of the financial.
I'm sure you got it on the slide, but
I do.
All right, let's just keep on getting.
Okay. We need to, can we move forward on the thought of, are you on agreement with me that there is a need for us to close those when they're not cost effective? We can go on.
My recommendation is us to take your recommendation and apply it.
Okay. We're in great need of replacing the current equipment that we have. The tabulators that we currently have do not have modems. Modems would allow, when the clerk closes a precinct, she pushes the button that says close poll, it would go immediately into our system. It would be an immediate upload. We would have all of our results about 7:10, 7:15. Of course, they're not official until those results are driven into us and we actually upload the physical media, but we can release unofficial results. I have contracts ready to move forward today. We can cut the 4 precincts that I discussed, move forward with replacing the 25 units. We can downsize to 21 units, and we'll downsize to 18 handicap accessible equipment, the express vote. The current contract that we have in place now is $59,166 annually. This contract was, however, inclusive. The inclusive contracts are no longer sold through ES&S. The current contract covers ballot printing. Up to 15,000 ballots are included in the 59. And coding. Coding is setting up the machines. That's the information they send to us for us to code and set up the machines to read the ballots. New contract will not cover ballot printing or coding. As I said, contracts are no longer offered. The proposed cut to the number of precincts would allow us to replace the outdated equipment with modem-capable tabulators at a cost of $40,586.50 annually. And Greta has those. She's going to pass those contracts out for you to look at. Keep in mind, this does not equal a saving overall because we will have the additional expenses as discussed above that are not included. Ballot printing cost alone will be somewhere around $14,000. I'm sorry. And coding costs will likely exceed $5,000 for the 2018 cycle.
It will. And we've already put this in your budget.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Yes,
Every bit of that.
up to here.
Yeah. Remember at the bottom of the line of the budget? It's already in the budget. And the 59,000 is in your budget.
That's correct.
That's new, that's new this year.
I'm talking about the contract. that you
Oh.
said.
The top one is the current contract, the bottom is the proposed.
Yeah. 54. So it's,
And I've given estimated figures there because to know how much it's going to cost for coding, coding charges are by race, by candidate. There's a charge per candidate name to be placed on there, so there's a lot of things to take into consideration, so I can only give you an estimated figure for those things. Ballot printing will depend on how many vote by mail ballots we project, and I tried to do a good guesstimate there for you based on past.
There was two charges that there's two additional budget items we put in the budget this year. One of them being that, and the other one was being for,
The additional IT, and you all cut, that's where you
No,
cut,
there was another one. There was one for software, correct?
correct.
Okay, there was three. We cut one, there was three.
Mhm.
Okay. Where's the software? Okay, the software will cover the coding and all
No.
that.
Software's
what's
an
the
additional
software used?
15,000 a year. That's covered, I have it covered.
I wish we had the budget. I wish we had the budget.
that was the line item that wasn't affected.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be able to tell you at the end what
Oh,
we're looking at.
okay, all right.
So what we're looking at here, the only additional expenses that we're going to have, we are gonna have to replace the server that we have, but I don't wanna discuss that part. To this point, we're good, my budget is good.
Okay.
But the thing we need to discuss, and I've got someone here who's gonna speak to you on this, to talk about what we need to do as far as replacing our PCs and our server. Mr. Abbott, I had spoke with you and I spoke with some of the others about the fact that we are under Homeland Security after the last election cycle. So at this point, we're going to discuss the change in technology and requirements regarding elections and Homeland Security, and I'd like to introduce Zach Dunlap. He represents Inspired Technologies on being proactive rather than reactive. Zach's a great guy, and I think he will be helpful for the county as well.
Zach, do you work for Homeland Security?
No, sir. Actually, my name is Zach Dunlap. I'm the Business Development Manager for Inspire Technologies. We are a partner with the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI Cyber Terrorism Task Force. We are a privately owned company. We provide IT services for many counties, state agencies, as well as municipalities and private industry. Notably, we are very experienced, of course, in county IT support, whether it be property appraiser, tax collector, clerk of courts, board of county commissioners, sheriff's offices, and election support. And one of the things that we get brought into a lot is because we are the IT department for Wakulla County, Madison County. We represent 6 other county constitutionals under the Supervisor of Elections. So we get to sit in those rooms and have those conversations when they start talking tech, and those people start bowing out saying, well, we don't know what that means. What does that mean to us? Part of Homeland Security placing the elections office underneath critical infrastructure was directly because of the 2016 election and the allegations of Russian and Rogue Nation hacking in our election systems. Therefore, the federal government is moving forward with policies and best practices in order to protect the county, the municipality entities during the elections. What they're not providing is the funding for it. They're telling all the different counties, this is what you need to have in place, this is what you need to do, these are your best practices, you need to have this kind of firewall, you need to have this kind of network software inside your facility, and you need to be actively monitoring it.
But they will come and evaluate what you have for no additional expenses.
No, sir, they won't. Only that actually comes underneath the Department of State and the Elections Assistance Committee.
Yeah. You had
That's not
shared,
right.
yeah, you had shared that with me, and they don't have a department that comes
In
out.
Pensacola, they do, yes, ma'am.
It might be a private agent, it may be a private agency that they're sending out.
It's not, no, ma'am. It is the Department of Homeland Security.
It's called
And all-
NIST and ISAC is what you're referring to, is that's their auditing arm team that they come out and do the on-site assessments.
They do.
They don't provide the equipment or any funding for it. They'll assess it and tell you, this is where you're at and this is
That's
what
what
you
it
need to
said.
be at. Yeah, right.
They're just
That's
strictly
all they do.
evaluating,
That's exactly
free
right.
of charge.
Free of charge, yes.
And something that we've already paid into.
Yes, it's a program underneath the federal government. It's tax dollar driven. That's what it is. What they're proposing, even from the state level, is the beefing up of security systems. You know, making sure there's more active watch over the network. There's more things in place. We just went through 2 assessments, like what you're referring to, CNET. I always hate that they use all these abbreviations because you never know what they are. The National Institutes and Standards for Technology, NIST, came out with a program with Homeland Security to evaluate. And it's not just supervisors of elections, and I should really stress that. It's any county entity that falls underneath the critical infrastructure, whether that be law enforcement, property appraiser, anybody. Anybody that's under government services is covered, including banks, FDIC.
Libraries, all of it.
Yeah, all of it's covered underneath it. There's no fee to it, but there is a waiting list. And then there's companies like us that we just do it as a service to our customers. We actually provide that other assessment tool that they use, the same ISAC standards. All it really is, and if the sheriff was here, he can attest, it's a CGIS and FDIC standards that they've just kind of, changed the name on to institute on a broader level for government services.
So if you're not contracted with the county, you will go in there and use the same materials that the Homeland Security uses to evaluate your systems with no charge?
Yes, sir. If we're not, our customers, we do that for already.
Okay.
For counties that don't have it, we offer that assessment piece as it's a free of charge service. Our ultimate goal is that you use us for whatever county that asks us to do it, uses us for IT support.
Sure.
And we have been assessed.
We did an initial assessment of Ms. Carroll's office, and we saw it wasn't bad. There was 2 key points that needed to be addressed. One was a firewall that needs to be put in place that allows for secure traffic, so you can actually monitor who's trying to get into the network and who's actually going on the internet inside the network. And then also her devices need to be upgraded to the most recent Windows, because most of her devices now, their Windows is not making the security patch updates for anymore. As of next year, they will actually stop making those.
What version is that?
Windows 7. It went from Windows XP license to Windows 7. It won't allow you to upgrade again to the Windows 10. They're forcing you to upgrade.
So after next year, they won't have any support, is what you're telling me?
Yes, sir. That's right. Initially, and this is not getting off of topic, but we've noticed and why we exist as a company. We do telecommunications and broadband support. Mr. Trey's company, I know you're a third-party contractor for AT&T. We do a lot of the LTE infrastructure, like the building of the cell phone towers. We actually install all that equipment that Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon use, as well as we do a lot in the cabling and things of that nature. We just found out that with counties, you can't afford to hire all the IT that you need. Even one person would be overwhelmed by it, and we just kind of fit that bill because we have 120 employees in Tallahassee and across North Florida and South Florida that are operating at any given time, and we're in 11 different states doing what we do. We're based in Tallahassee. We speak the language of North Florida, so we have a good grasp of what this area needs and where this area needs to be taken forward to get out of the dark ages of technology and kind of start inching into the light. We're already in several counties around you. We partner well with Walton County, with the sheriff there and others. We just try to take into, we have this very direct and keeping it real kind of talks. We don't like to sugarcoat things. We want to tell you the way it is and let you know where you stand, and most people appreciate that. So, anyway, well, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Do you have any questions, the feedback from that?
This I've got in front of me, this sales order agreement, is this from his company?
No, that's to replace the equipment, the downsizing the precincts, then we would be able to go to the modem capable machines. This is nothing to do with his company. This is
totally your IT service
correct.
that you have currently in place.
Correct.
And you want to continue.
We don't have him. He has come in and made an assessment. We have a contract with another company that we want to break the contract and move to
This one.
to Inspire.
Yes, sir. And that's where we've taken the funds away to.
Well, yeah, let's eat this one by a time. So this 174 thousand, or and pennies over, this is in your budget for new equipment.
Correct. But you all have to sign that contract, the contract between the board and the election equipment company.
Okay, and that was in this year's budget that we had to,
Correct. So we're good if we downsize precincts to move forward with that today. Yes, you're ready.
Ms. Roy?
Yes.
Isn't the, didn't you have in your budget the new computers and the new,
In the current budget, and
In the current
and some
budget,
of the monies that you cut,
and the new
it affected
server?
that as well. We bought one server, and we bought a couple of PCs, but that's not all the replacements that we need to do after we had this evaluation. We have 2 servers. We have a server that connects to the state, that's a standalone system that's not hooked into the internet at all. So we have 2 servers in our office, and both of them did not meet standards.
yeah, all we cut now is the $16,677 for IT. We didn't cut nothing else.
Well, we've moved funds to,
Well, I know, but
but
I
at
want to
the
get
end of
that
the
strong.
day, that's the budget adjustment that we need to make.
Yeah,
is- But it's stemming from some of that, because I think there was still some misunderstanding on all those funds were used for. But today, what is it?
Do we have a budget from Ms. Ruther by chance? Could we get one of them?
We can get one, I'm sure, but we don't have it with us.
Yeah.
Or you want what she submitted?
Yes, ma'am, you got that by chance, so we can
I
look
will
at
look
it?
at it.
Okay, please.
Thank you.
So we can have that, at least.
What was submitted or approved that you want?
Well, we knew what was approved.
Okay.
There's,
But what we would need to move forward to be able to replace the other server, PC and a laptop, and then the services through Inspire are going to be a couple $100 more a month. So we would ask the board today to consider putting $10,000 of the 16 back in our line item.
okay, but on the savings here on our equipment.
There is no savings there.
There's no savings?
No.
So why would that precincts?
To be able to afford the upgrade equipment.
Okay, but with the budget that we just approved, that had new equipment in it.
No, it did not. It had the same line. That was not with new equipment. We had all discussed this, Mr. Kitt and I discussed, we were gonna have to cut precincts. We were not gonna be able to upgrade equipment
I
and
thought
keep
we
the
had
same
it in the
number of
bottom line.
precincts.
No, that was all,
Yes,
that was all new equipment.
No.
That is what you submitted.
no.
We'll get the budget.
We'll get
Okay.
you, 'cause I mean, yeah.
I'm very confused right now.
Yeah.
Because I.
The
I'm
dollar
assuming-
figure is the same. What you approved was the same, the dollar figure hasn't changed.
Is there any grants that's available that I know Holmes County and other, that to receive some help with this?
Holmes County received what?
Didn't they receive a grant to help with their new equipment?
They were in with a part of about 10 counties that got, there was only so much funding left. There's no
Did we
additional
not
dollars.
apply for that?
There was no money left to apply. It was first come, first serve, and we were not included in that first group. And she'll tell you the same thing, that they found out they were eligible to apply and waited
That's
until,
not, it's not.
it's not that they're eligible. It was first come, first serve and
And they
applying
found
for the
out
grants.
first.
We weren't even aware. Bradford County called and let Holmes County know the monies were available, and then they kept it quiet because there was only a certain amount of monies left.
You're better friends with Bradford County.
Oh, I called them, they felt really bad about it. They felt really bad about it.
I probably wouldn't speak my commissioner lady from Bradford County no more.
Well, and Debbie, she kept apologizing
The
for it,
only
but
difference
she,
in the
I mean, we'd have done the
equipment-
same thing. We wanted to be fully funded too, and not want her to have any of the dollars.
The new equipment, the only difference is the modem capability.
Correct. And the handicap accessible equipment will upgrade to, there's a newer upgrade to that as well. It's a package.
But the addition, I want to make sure I'm understanding, the addition in the money that's needed from the
Is-
upgraded equipment
Is equipment,
is
we're
being,
talking about computers.
let me ask, is being compensated by the reduction of,
Mhm.
Let's do this. Let's choose this one by that time. We've got the voting precinct reduction. Is that going to require a board vote?
Yes. Based on
So,
project.
let's don't get so far out there where we're not keeping our procedures correct. You're through with your presentation on.
Yeah, I wanted you to see the whole package before you made a decision on any of it.
But you're good with them four that you presented
Yes.
to the board, that you, that you
Mhm.
see, not necessarily that you won't vote, but you see that you can absorb.
Right,
those.
right.
Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to close. Can you go back to that precinct, to that slide again?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, if I may. I'll make a motion that we accept the approval of the Supervisor of Elections recommendations to close the 4 precincts, being Courts of Praise Church, Shepherd Gates Church, Recycling Center, and County Oaks Church.
Country
And,
Oaks,
with-
right.
All right, so that's your motion?
Yes.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
And again, for the media that will cover this, we just want to let them know that was based on a lot of things: location, cost per vote cast, and where we could most easily accommodate those voters that would be displaced.
I mean, it's an uncomfortable
Right, it absolutely
Anytime you're
is. We put
trying
this
to
off, we
reduce-
talked about it before.
reduced.
2 years ago.
For financial reasons.
Right.
I'd
I'd say this is probably one of the least popular things we've
Yeah,
had to
yeah,
handle. But it's what we have to do
That's-
sometimes. We have to do things that are not
That's
popular.
why all of us are here.
It's a lot more
Right.
comfortable this time with me and Carol's faces out there than the first time it was brought up.
But I think that's what happened since we did move forward on that. We did move forward on one but not the other. And
Okay.
maybe that's where the
So I
confusion came.
made that motion.
I have a motion to close the 4 precincts on Ms. Rudd's recommendation. Do I have a second?
I'll second it for further discussion.
I have a motion, I have a second. All right, discussion.
I'd just like to make it clear to the public that this is for monetary reasons.
Absolutely.
Our budget, trying to make everything happen. I certainly don't want to make it an inconvenience on anybody that has to vote, and
Right.
Ms. Rudd has made every effort to eliminate that, so, I just want the public to understand it's strictly monetary.
And we will notify every voter who's being moved. They will individually get notification from our office of where the new location
And
is.
it stems from things like Homeland Security implementing certain.
The costs get more and it's,
Unfunded mandates.
right,
Yes, that is exactly right.
That we don't have any control over.
right.
But yet we have to meet the expense of that. So
Right.
therefore,
Thank you.
we have to give somewhere.
Sure.
I just want it to be understood that it's not your wish or mine or anybody on this board to do this.
Absolutely.
do
It's-
is look at our
If the
budget.
money were just freely there, we would absolutely not want to cut. But voting by mail has become, it is such a simple thing to do. Years ago, you had to have a reason to make that request, and now you can just do it because it's convenience at home, so.
Well, the information is there,
Right.
It's been well, you presented well, and I appreciate that. So I'm fine with Ms. Carroll's recommendation.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
I have a motion and a second on this.
well,
Does this pertain to this motion? Okay, go ahead. We can start on
no, I'm just having a hard time voting on that without clarifying some of this other, and I would like to see if anyone would want to, we're talking about monetary savings, but we don't know what we're saving. I haven't seen a dollar amount, and I don't know exactly,
It's
to me,
right
it's
there.
getting cart before the horse, but
She's had the numbers on that.
Yeah.
I'm still of the belief that those new deals were in there, in here, in this budget.
This contract that you've got in front of you was sent to me via email on November 1st, because we went back and renegotiated this contract. You see the discount, the customer discount that's close to the bottom of the page. So we didn't have this, I didn't even have this figure prior to the other budget being submitted.
it. We had some tentative numbers though.
Right,
We
that's
had
right.
tentative
And
numbers.
we also found out that they're not gonna do the gold package to include our ballot printing and our coding anymore. So that's what brings us back up.
But that's what was mixed all in there that you and I discussed, because the binding went up and see,
Print and
I
binding.
have this, but I don't have my notes from our conversations, so I can't tell you. If I had my other paper that could sit there and tell me how much printing and binding went up and.
Well, I guess my question is this, is I've presented to you what my needs are, and you see the dollar figures there. There's oversight of the monies that are spent, so if if you're concerned as the money is spent, that there could be questions for
I
me.
don't think, I guess I would just like more time and more information. I really don't know, because I'm thoroughly convinced that those dollar figures are in here, and I know, because we went over them so many different times. So, what is the dollar amount that you're gonna have to, from the savings, the dollar amount that you're gonna add plus the 10,000 you're asking for?
None, just the 10.
I know, but what is the dollar savings by closing?
It becomes a wash when you reduce precincts because we have to now pay for coding and printing.
I understand it, but what is that amount?
It was on the screen.
That's what
I'm going back to it.
If you kept the current precincts, there would be an additional charge.
Yeah.
Yes.
By the 15,000 and then the,
Hang on just a second.
there was, the existing one was 59,166.
That's correct.
And then the new one was
40,
45,86.
Plus the 15,
Plus the 15,000 plus the 6,000.
plus the 4 or 5. Let's see.
Yeah.
It's right here.
We funded a new server,
Here it is.
the new computers, the new machines,
No, you didn't fund that.
all in your budget.
No, you didn't fund all of that.
This 71,316 is the new equipment.
But that's not PCs and servers.
No, there was an additional, the server was like 8,000, or maybe you got the 5 or 6 PCs that you needed for, I don't remember the numbers. One was 8,000 and one was like.
Server.
Yeah, the server was 8,000, and it's all that was in there.
But the printing and binding is already in your in your budget and the actual.
Well, that's not the only printing cost that we have.
And the
Ballots are not
printing
the
and
only thing we
binding went
print.
up almost $13,000 because you knew people that they didn't offer that package any longer.
We also are required to both advertise, some of that money is because we're required to advertise the sample ballot in the newspaper, and we have to mail it to the household. We used to be able to do either or.
We thoroughly discussed the fact of losing the gold package and what was in there. And then,
7,300
We
postage.
did,
goes
I
out.
agree, Mr. Kent, but after we were evaluated by Inspire Technologies, there are some additional things that we need.
and you want 10,000 for that.
Right.
So all of this money right here, where is it going? Because I mean,
We're talking about two different things, though.
everything is already funded
No.
to go forward.
No, it's not. Because what I'm telling you is Inspire had not been and evaluated our office completely when we did that. And this contract I just got November 1st. We discussed figures.
And am I the only one that thinks that
We're mighty early for a budget amendment for, and we're not even, we're not even in the first day, we're in the first week.
But here's what we've got to keep in mind. We're trying to be proactive rather than reactive, and what he's told you is that our PCs, neither of our servers or our PCs meet the requirements that we have to make.
I totally was under understanding that we had included every bit of that in there for every one of these precincts. So there should be that savings. Now, if you come up with an additional, you lost the 16. If you hadn't lost the 16, I don't think we would even be sitting here.
Right, because I'd be
I mean,
able
even
to
looking at it, because-
I'd be able to make those replacements. Because I bought some of them out of the past budget. With the money that was left, I went ahead and started using up every penny that we had because I knew that we were probably going to run short after we were evaluated. We were still inside that October 31st.
I don't know. Like I said, the 16,677 you took out on C. And this is the budget, ain't it, Ms. Martin?
This is what,
This is what passed, right?
What's the bottom line?
this is what,
475.03,
Plus,
plus a one-time fee of
plus,
24,077, plus a 47,215.
That was all included. That's included in that top.
and see that right there, you've got that lease in there.
No,
Right.
it's not
no,
included.
it's not very top.
No.
That's all that you gave me. I didn't get any of those other funds.
You
That's
got
what
the
you're saying.
24 and the 47,
Yeah, because it's a one-time fee.
you got the one-time fee and the 47, is that?
It says Board of County Commissioner equipment costs.
Right, and then they moved that line to me. It used to be under you.
Yeah, and we give it to
I
them.
understand, and that's why I'm thinking that everything, you got everything you asked for except for that $16,000, which included all new equipment. And I'm just trying to figure out where the
But-
Do you
savings.
have this, Carol? Have you seen it?
I do. Actually, that's mine that I submitted.
Okay, but do you have it in front of you so you can talk?
Well,
Just take mine.
but what I'm saying, the 470, I thought you said 475, 407503. Okay, I know it's 470. Right. But the 47 is included in that 470.
Where's it included though? In equipment?
The 24 and the 470, and it comes out of that 71,316 line.
Right.
It is that 71.
It is included there.
That's the whole line.
Okay.
The 20,000 is just basically, that's a one-time charge to
Yeah, I
convert
mean-
from, to get us out of the contract we currently have with.
That's minus the.
The 24,000?
Yeah.
669.
It's, when we update the equipment, you have to update that software one time.
Okay.
We have to buy the software, and then we'll have an annual lease software agreement like we do now, the
Yeah.
50.
Transition from Unity to Election.
Correct.
Which is two different companies.
Yeah.
Unity and Election were the same company,
Same
they're
company.
phasing out one and replacing it with the other.
They don't service that other one anymore.
Right.
After next year.
Okay.
Now, that's different, we're talking about something, two different things.
Well, and I knew that now, I mean, I
Yeah.
recognize that, but I thought they was gonna still service that for another year.
It's different.
But no,
No, I don't think that they will service it for, and we can't replace one without doing the other. They all are parts of the same puzzle, so we either have to pull back everything or go forward with it.
The 56,166 was what it was before, but it included a whole bunch of stuff. It's coming down now to the 47,21571.
which is reduction.
Which is a reduction, but you're not getting as much. But at the same time, if you look at these same numbers, the binding increased by amount. There was enough money fished all through these numbers right here to cover everything that we're sitting here talking about, to cover the binding, the printing, the new computers, the new software. Now, if he came and found something and you have some additions, I understand
That's what
that.
I'm saying.
But as we close precincts, we should deduct the number out of this 47215, and that's where my question is.
No, because we're reducing the precincts, reducing the number of equipment, but the equipment's more costly per precinct.
But this is the new, this was for the new equipment,
The
annual
new
5-year lease.
equipment's in here.
For all the.
So we should be able to take 15 and divide 47 into it.
But it doesn't reduce
Or
the
how-
need for the PCs, the servers, and,
No, and that was a
Okay.
minimum amount of money. What I'm asking is this: if we close 4 precincts, the number of voting machines that you have to have will take away from this 47,215 number, which is your 5-year lease on your new equipment, and it'll also bring down part of your binding and part of your.
but we're gonna have to have money for coding, for professional services. Coding comes out of professional services, and that line will go up.
Coding, this is.
Coding is $5,000.
So professional services will go up 46,000 to 51.
But you see what I'm saying, Charles? I don't think
No.
we're still not on the,
We gave you everything to not close not an area.
if we stay with the equipment that we have now.
No. The price that you gave me is 47,215. Why is it here?
What,
The 47,215 annually for 5 years.
because that 59 is, that there's other things,
The
I don't have it explained to you, because everything's not inclusive now, so we have to break things out. But I understand what you're saying.
The 59
We
was the-
reduced it to 47 based on we thought those precincts were going to close.
But that 59.
And that's when I was working with Mr. Hawkins to do that.
The
Yeah,
59.
this budget brought to us was for every precinct, what I understood.
That's exactly.
Because there's no way we'd pass the budget, because this is the first time we considered closing precincts down since I was shot down like an airplane right now.
Oh, I like to see it.
Well, and you know, maybe you and I weren't on the same page, because you came back a couple of times, and I was on a different page than you were, you came back, and I've got my sheet on my desk still, that we made
This was
5,000
sold,
notes.
this was sold to the board
Right.
as all new equipment, everything you needed to go forward with all precincts open. I don't believe there's a commissioner here that thought we were gonna close a precinct on this.
No.
We thought.
Not with new equipment.
Yeah.
Yes, we
Yeah,
do.
That's what I said.
That was the whole deal. We had to have
That
new
was,
equipment,
that's why I
had to have
said
new-
that was the entire thing.
And I
What was last
apologize,
year's
I
budget?
apologize if we got onto two different, maybe we're
Last
talking
year's
about
budget?
two different lines.
Get it?
I tell you, I'm sorry to throw you on the bus on that, but I just
She's
like,
gonna
because then
bust.
that would tell you the offset cost. Did you get last year's budget? And that'd tell you how much is the difference between this budget and last year's budget, and that should offset the
Well,
equipment.
it depends on how many elections you have out of there.
But I thought every year we have one election.
I'm sorry?
Every year, what I understand, every year you have one election.
Sometimes you have two.
Mr. Chairman, can we take a break for a second?
It depends on when they fall.
Absolutely. Can we just take a short recess? How long would it take you, Mr. Richard? 5 minutes?
What is it that you want? I can go to my office and
I
get,
can't go to the office.
I'm gonna go.
We'll take 5 minutes
I'm just gonna look at my notes.
I said five. I said five. Bring the meeting back to order. All right, Ms. Rudd, I see you got passed out some information for us.
yeah, and I do apologize. I was telling Mr. Hawkins when we were on break, I wasn't here for part of that. I had major surgery in Dallas and was incapacitated, still recovering. But I think what I've given Mr. Kent now, we see where that 70, if we had stayed, that 70,000 plus would have been the number.
The 70,000 probably.
The very bottom, that's your handwriting down there.
Yeah.
Ms. Rudd, I think, just as, we have a motion on the table, but this would be my suggestion. You and Mr. Kent went through this budget and built y'all's budget that he presented to the board.
Correct.
My recommendation would be for you and him to sit back down and go through this budget and see, get everybody's ducks in order, because we're not making no headway right now. He don't remember what you're saying, and we're.
But I'm presenting it now, so it's just gonna set us back if we go through that, because there's, nothing's gonna change. We have all the contracts, that is absolutely the bottom line cost.
All right.
It's just gonna set us back, and when we get the equipment in place, it's gonna take us a couple of months to take possession of it. Then we have to do training, we have to do poll worker training.
Ms. Rudd, you don't think throughout the budget year, you can cut 10,000 out of your budget anyplace else?
I'm sorry.
But throughout the budget year, you could save $10,000.
We certainly will return it if we can, and that's
Well-
where we're not having to ask it for as much as we thought with this evaluation, because we used some of the monies left in last year's budget to buy some of those PCs. We're having to replace
Well,
every
yeah.
PC and server in our
Will this
office.
be a better discussion? But then halfway through the budget year to see where we're at?
We can, but we're not gonna be able to move forward.
She's trying to
with-
sign contracts.
Yes.
She's trying to obligate this money.
We are not going to be able to move forward with, well, we can with the equipment, with the reduction of
Yeah.
precincts, we can
We've
move forward.
already
We can
obligated
move
that money.
Right, that's
That
right.
money's obligated, you know,
Right.
we've already made, said, go ahead and buy this equipment.
On that part,
through our
that's right.
budget.
But what she's asking for is an additional $10,000 where she can, I mean, I don't,
I done lost everything I had.
See,
I got more
I mean,
paperwork.
but right here, Carol, it said, so 83,256 was for 5 PCs and 1 server, so that's already in there.
No, it's not. That's not all we need. We need another server. Another server is, it's right at
It's $6,200.
$6,200
State
for,
contract price if you're buying it off.
she's trying to.
for one additional server. Yeah, I actually got that. Excuse me.
And you put an additional 13,500 in there for ballots because it's not included. I mean, so why would you put the 13,500 in there if you weren't anticipating having the new equipment? Because your bonding would not increase if the new equipment was not
Yeah,
in.
because in the current contract we have, they only pay for 15,000 ballots to be printed.
That's right, and
That's not enough. We have to print above that.
so you added a 13,500 above that?
The 15,000 was included in that inclusive contract.
That's
The
what I'm
first
saying.
15,000 ballots, then the ballot printing for the
If that,
envelopes and all the other.
if we had not approved the new equipment, that contract would not have gone away. And there would have been no need for this to go up 13,500. Is the exact reason it's telling me that we put all that in there.
I think some of the lines got corrected and some did not. That's what it looks like to me. You've got that figure written down there. from that email that I got from July 25th. That's your 70-something thousand. That's what I told you it would be if we stayed with what we had. This contract's going to go away.
This is how I feel about it. We have a budget put together. You're thinking of this included. Ms. Rudd's got the ability to trim her budget throughout the year to make her stuff hit. We don't approve your contracts. That'll be something that you'll approve.
This contract you have to
Oh,
approve.
yeah, the vertical, we've already approved that. We've approved that through the budget.
Right.
You know, in turn, ultimately, we approved your budget that you
Right.
reminded me of. So that's
Well-
that's irrelevant to this conversation. Am I wrong, guys?
It looks like it was approved, but the wrong dollar figure is on that sheet. Go ahead.
Okay, so my suggestion, we have a motion, and we have a second to close the number of precincts that will make your budget work the way that with more than what we thought was available. So we can carry on this, you can work through your budget just like we've had to do throughout the year, and cut back where we have to. And make your budget, and make this budget work, whatever you need, whatever you can afford, whatever items you want to purchase or contracts you want to enter, but you make it work with this, whatever that number is that we have.
470. Well,
Yeah.
that's
Well-
not what actually was approved. The number
But yeah,
approved was
and then
460.
then at the end of the year,
What is it?
464.29.
Yeah.
464.29.
Right.
then the year, in the year, if you see you're gonna have a budget shortfall with the due diligence of you cutting back, then you come back for the board, like every other department does.
And we can do that. I just wanted to be
But,
proactive rather than reactive
but
to catch anybody off guard.
but at the same time, we expect every department, the sheriff's department, your department, or the tax collector, to be good stewards. And I mean, just as we got to do with ours in the county. So
As we
my
always have been.
suggestion
I've
is-
never overspent, ever.
Listen, I'm
In
not
24 years.
I'm not accusing of it.
Okay.
What I'm asking you is just do the best you can with what you got.
Okay.
And because we're going to do the same thing as the county. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion and second that's presently available now for closing the precincts?
I am still curious, everyone else on this right here.
We can sit down, Charles.
No, but I mean, it's part of this motion.
Okay.
Because people are gonna say, why did you close this precinct? I closed them because there was money. How much money, a dollar figure, how much money did we need? How much money did we save? Whether we put it in that, I mean, we're gonna work that part of it out, but I mean, at this point in time, I'm not convinced that we would be saving a penny
By closing
by
each
closing
of the
precincts.
precincts, do you have a number that,
If we have,
not adding it to anything else, Carol, do you have a number that closing them 4 precincts is gonna
say,
save?
Well, the cost saving will be if we reduce the number of machines, so we
Yeah.
have to renegotiate the contract. Okay.
It's the $40,586. Is that divided, how many machines does that buy?
That gives you 21 machines.
21 machines. If you don't close them precincts, how many will you have to have?
We would stay with 25, and that's what you got now in front of you. That's the contract I just gave you that I said I thought that Charles and I looked at.
So we're saving $7,000 on machines in 4 precincts.
We have 25 machines currently. If we upgraded the equipment, this is the upgraded equipment.
Yeah.
This is what our annual, if we go into 5 years.
So it'd be 47,000 for 5 years, 47,120.
Which is the same exact number,
Yeah, there's your number for 5 years.
but it's the same exact number that's on this paper right here that is included in this right here.
It says it there.
Yeah.
So you'll be taking, so you can take that and divide by 25.
Yes, let me see that.
Hold on, here we go.
It's gonna be 7,000 because if it goes to 40.
I would just-
But that's just
Just
computers, that's not labor and training and.
I got you.
We put all the labor in there to do every precinct.
Yeah.
All that's in there. Every bit of that is in
So
there.
That's the only real saving that there is. Some saving is in
So it-
co-workers.
Co-workers.
Yeah, and so each machine costs $1,888 over 5 years, times 5 years,
Well,
times 5.
it depends on the number that you buy, what they allow us for discount.
Yeah. Well, I'm
They
just.
discount it differently depending on what we have to. But here's your cost right here per machine.
Mhm. For 21.
And this is the other machine that we have.
But this agreement that we're entering here is for 25.
25 reads for the smallest, the one we're on sign back.
No, this is the one I want you to sign today, reducing the precincts.
So this one, we got the little sticky notes on it.
Sure, you get yourself.
Well, I know
This
the
is the
other-
ones you wanted him to sign.
No,
This is
this
mine.
one's-
This is mine. You just got it.
No, this just got stuck on there. Here's your, this is the 25, and I want you to compare.
Okay.
This is what we want you to sign. So this is what you're comparing to, 21 to 25.
We didn't get the comparison.
I just went and got it when we were saying that the figure, how
They have the
percent.
figure on the 21?
I don't have a total number. I don't have a 5-year lease on, or on 5-year lease, just ain't send it in.
The same number that's on the bottom.
You want to turn around?
Yeah, he got it, that you just fine for it. But next time, let's have this in the meeting with somebody, then we can hear right up, everybody.
Well, I think it-
Feel like we ought to be juggling up here right now.
I do too, but I think we had it all together before.
Selling Cokes and popcorn.
Here's your. It basically just-
Chris had his gavel back.
What was the price for the other company? Out of curiosity.
We haven't, we're just modifying the current contract basically. So we didn't have to go back out for the, we have to replace everything that we have if we trade the equipment. All right. Look and see one of your packets. I know you had it. These can shuffle.
I probably didn't pay for it on it, I'm gonna.
Mine was stapled.
Okay, good. Right there. Maybe you can try to do this.
Yep. Here it is.
21
Okay.
machines is 30,000.
Well, here's the breakdown. Here's the DS200.
But this is what we went with.
Right, 5 years, that's right.
Yeah, 5 years, 20, this come to 30,000.
That's just the DS200, and then there's your express code. Then you got to add your other stuff into it.
Well, we did, and this is just for equipment, so we're at 47 on our budget. And we're at 30, there's 17,000 on our budget for 21 machines. Am I right?
And I apologize, I thought we just was all together.
Maybe.
Well, no, it may have gotten combined with it, and it turned out nice, I apologize. I'm as frustrated as you are right now.
Hey, frustrated.
Well, I mean, it was all sent in the same email. Because that's not right. That is the initial term hardware maintenance fee. That's the maintenance fee. Okay? That's not the equipment, that's maintenance that you're looking at. I knew that wasn't right. All right, you got your maintenance fee,
Okay.
okay? And then you've got to look over here at your equipment.
Okay, so this is 24,000, went to 30. One-time transaction, maintenance fee, correct?
That is 24. That, there's maintenance fee for the equipment, and there's maintenance fee on our server to read in the results. There's multifaceted, that's where I think I'm having a hard time conveying to you what it is.
Okay, so we're 14,250.
Who is that making?
Same company.
And 28. 28. Is that right? Sound good, everybody?
What they sent me. I had it this morning. But it's that rate. This is not on the page.
Got Ryan on the first one.
It ain't got nothing to do with us. This is how it comes. We all knew this.
Charles, it looks like it's gonna be about an $8,000 a year savings. Over 5 years, about $40,000.
You can figure that out. That's how you can figure
$1,888, but the numbers I come up with, $1,888. Just for your equipment, not counting poll workers, for that. All thing I say is only, but it looks like it's 1888. Best figure I've come with, 1888 per times 5. Times 4. Does that make sense to y'all? Yeah. Do we only have one machine per precinct?
Yes.
One per.
Well, a handicap accessible equipment and a tabulator.
Okay. So we got 8.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Okay.
I want to withdraw my motion. I'm closing the 4 precincts.
Can we do that, or can we need to let it die? We got to vote, we got,
Ask your attorney.
I'll let it die.
because we got a motion and a second. Yeah. All right. All in favor of closing the precincts? All opposed? Aye. All right. That's the second time we did that today. We ain't done it for years, Charlie. All right. So I suggest we table this, and we let Mr. Kent be into over the budget. Ms. Rudd, sit down and arm wrestle and bring it back to us.
Well, and it's those two figures that we are on that second page.
Yeah, but we're trying to find stuff up here today in a tizzy. Do you mind, Mr. Kent?
And I don't mind doing that, but I do think that, I think it's been conveyed to you, but we can do
We're
that.
still hunting through paperwork up here, you know, and we're not getting.
Well, I've shown it to you. That
Yeah.
maintenance page and the equipment page are two different leases, two different parts of the leases that will have to be added together.
Can you have that brought back to us by December meeting?
Just need some clarification, Mr. Attorney. Because we heard it both ways. I've heard the equipment was included, I've heard the equipment wasn't included. I've
No,
heard
the equipment
polls
is-
being closed was included, I've heard the polls not being closed was included. And it just, I don't even know where we're at.
When, the last time I sat down, all the equipment was in there, everything was buttoned up and jelly tight.
But
And
that
we
is
weren't
your
closed.
handwriting on the bottom of that I brought
Right,
up
and,
here.
and I'm telling you, I can sit here and I can justify everything I just said off of my handwriting on this paper.
I want you to come down there and let's go over that. then,
Because, I mean-
that 77 is the figure if we'd stayed status quo with 25 pieces of equipment.
The 77,
Or
392.
72 on the bottom.
Neither here nor there, we decided how we're gonna move forward with it. Let's just finish this project and behind closed doors, bring it back to us clean and sealed, so we can do this nice.
This is the longest thing I've ever been.
All right, Ms. Carol, Ms. Rudd, I appreciate it, and I'm sorry about all the confusion, but I think that maybe y'all can get behind it and go with it, because they all need to work out right.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.